State may call your next witness.
Navy Federal Credit Union Bank Custodian Nicole Phillips, please.
Ms. Phillips, good morning to you, ma'am. You can come over here to your right. I can imagine this is not what you thought you were doing here today.
Thank you.
You need a glass of water or something, let us know, okay?
Thank you so much.
And you can adjust the microphone up and down if you need to as well.
Okay.
I just asked if there's an objection made by a party, just pause and let me rule on the objection, and then you can go from there, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much. State your name, quiet, you're ready.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Will you state your name, please?
Yes, sir. Nicole Phillips.
And can you introduce yourself to our jury and tell them where you are employed, please?
Yes, my name is Nicole Phillips, and I work for Navy Federal Credit Union as a subpoena specialist 3.
Thank you. I was going to ask you that next, your title. What does a subpoena specialist 3 do at Navy Federal Credit Union?
Subpoena specialist 3 pretty much process subpoenas, income subpoenas that are served upon Navy Federal. We also pull telephone calls, and also video, along with records.
Thank you, ma'am. This afternoon, I'd like to focus on some records that are affiliated with Navy Federal Credit Union, your employer. Can you tell our jury how long you have worked for Navy Federal Credit Union?
I've been working with the Navy Federal Credit Union for 20 years now.
And how long have you been as specialist number 3 in your current capacity?
I just got a promotion last month, but other than that, I was a subpoena specialist 1, and then got promoted to subpoena specialist 2, and then recently a month ago to a subpoena specialist 3.
In your capacity as a records custodian for the Navy Federal Credit Union, how often have you testified in court, ma'am?
10 times or more.
All right. Did you receive a subpoena in the case of the state of Florida versus Johnathan Quiles, the case you're here for today?
Yes, sir.
Did you travel down here to testify?
Yes, sir.
And where did you travel from?
Washington, D.C.
Can you give the jury an idea of what a records custodian is at Navy Federal Credit Union, please?
The records of custodian of records is pretty much like someone who analyzes a subpoena, and we pretty much make sure that we retain records for whatever time span that the subpoena is requesting information for. Once we have all of the collective information, we pretty much provide it to the attorneys, DEA, special agents, or whomever for the time span in which it's requested.
Now, Ms. Phillips, is dealing with records something you do in the normal course of your business?
Yes, sir, I do.
Do you have complete access to records under the Navy Federal Credit Union umbrella?
Yes, sir.
Are records kept at Navy Federal Credit Union that you review in the normal course of your work?
Yes, sir.
Now, ma'am, I want to direct your attention to your screen and take a look at what's previously been admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit number 26. Do you see that on your screen, ma'am?
Yes, sir, I do.
Did you have a chance to review these records prior to coming to court today?
Yes, sir.
Did you review them last week during a pretrial and also this morning before coming into court?
Yes, sir.
All right. Can you identify first and foremost what we're looking at? What is this?
What you guys are currently looking at is pretty much a monthly statement for Ms. Sawyer for the time span dated through January 15, 2019.
Yes, ma'am. And do we find in the top right-hand corner, page 1 of 3, just underneath that, where it says statement period, is that where you get the dates from?
Yes, sir.
Right. Does that mean the banking activity on this account took place on or between those specific dates?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Right. And when you mentioned the name Ayanna Sawyer, is that one of the account holders for this account?
Yes, sir, it is.
Now, on the bottom left-hand corner, it says checking. Underneath that, campus checking. What does that mean?
Campus checking is pretty much the checking account number that was generated for Ms. Sawyer to do certain transactions within her account.
And is the number to the right of the words campus checking, is that the account number?
Yes, sir, it is. The account number ending in 9563, look like.
Okay, and no need to put that whole account number on the record, but right underneath that, ma'am, does it say joint owner Nancy Ware?
Yes, it does.
Do you even know who that is?
Nancy Ware is pretty much the joint owner of the account, but once you retrieve the signature card, which is the grandmother for the account.
All right. And do you know her personally?
No, I don't.
Do you know her if she walked out of the courtroom right before you?
No, sir.
Now, in the bottom entry on page 1 of 3, it appears to be the date of 12/16 of 2018, where it says beginning balance. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct, in which I see $12.62.
Right. Would that be the beginning amount inside this checking account on that particular date of December? Have you take a look at page 2. You see that well on your screen, ma'am?
Yes, sir, I do.
To make sure everybody can see that. At the top right, does it say page 2 of 3?
Yes.
All right. And are we still looking at the exact same account of one Nancy Ware for Ayanna Sawyer under the account number you mentioned earlier?
That is correct.
All right. Explain first and foremost what in general are each line describing. Tell us what they are.
Each line is pretty much generating the transactions that occurred on the member's account.
All right. Let's start at the top line. On the far left, we see a column that says date. Mm-hmm. Under that column, what specifically does that date refer to, ma'am?
That date is referred to posting date for the transaction.
So working down from date, would that mean that there are 3 transactions that actually posted on 12/17 on 3 separate occasions on that date?
Yes.
Okay. And then let's move across the first line, POS debit dash debit card, 7252 transaction date 12/16/2018 at a Circle K in Jacksonville, Florida. Will you describe that line for us, please, ma'am?
Yes. That transaction occurred on December the 16th, 2018 for the amount of $1.09, which posted to the account on December the 17th, 2018.
Yes, ma'am. So if I hear you correctly, is 12/16 the date of the actual transaction?
That's correct.
Is 12/17 the date that that transaction posts at the bank record?
That's correct.
Right. Now moving down to line 2, does that mean, for example, in line 2, the posting date is December 17 of 18, yet the actual transaction at Dollar General was on December 14th of 2018?
That's correct.
Will you take us to a Wendy's entry, ma'am, about right halfway down to the second posting date of December 19 of 2018? Will you explain to our jury what that transaction is about and when it occurred, please?
Yes. That POS debit transaction is when the member utilized the debit card on December the 13th, 2018 for the amount of $2.13. However, the transaction didn't post until December the 19th.
All right. So, ma'am, we see that 6 days between when the actual transaction occurred to the posting date. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Is that unusual, or is that something that normally happens with respect to bank posting?
No, that's perfectly normal.
Is there any doubt in your mind, ma'am, that that Wendy's transaction occurred on 12/13 of 2018?
No, that's the date that it actually occurred.
Now, ma'am, moving down this record, I want to ask you, there appears to be some recurring charges. Will you explain, starting in line 1224, I see there's 3 of those posting dates. Will you explain, for example, what those 3 PayPal amounts seem to be according to your review of these records?
Yes, these type of transactions are pretty much something that the member had set up with PayPal to have come out of the account during certain time span of the month.
Are these automatic deductions?
Yes.
Regarding the second entry on December 31st of 2018, we see what appears to be an Apple Tunes transaction. Will you describe that as well, please?
Yes, that's another transaction that came out of the member's account for $2.99. The transaction took place on December the 30th, but didn't clear the account until December the 31st.
Thank you. And the last Apple Tunes, I think it's at the very bottom, next to last line, is that also a recurring automatically charge to this account?
Yes, sir, it is.
And would that automatic recurring charge and that second one taken place on January 6th of 2019?
Yes, sir, but didn't clear the account until January the 7th.
Very much. And then finally, the ending balance of this account was January 15th of 2018 of $43.90?
That's correct.
So, ma'am, that means there were some additions or deposits made to this account. Is that correct?
Yes.
Will you identify for our jury, please, 3 deposits that appeared to be made by one Nancy Ware on December 19, December 31, and then the next month on January 2? Will you describe those?
On December the 19th, it appears to be an internal transfer from a checking account of Miss Nancy Ware for the amount of $25. On December the 21st, there was another internal transfer from Miss Nancy Ware for the amount of, it looks like, $17.
Yes, ma'am.
And then another one on January the 2nd, internal transfer from Miss Nancy Ware for the amount of $25.
Thank you, ma'am. And can those be set up by the account owner, for example, here, Nancy Ware, to be done automatically?
No, sir. That's something that has to be generated by that member because Ms. Nancy Ware is the only person that can authorize an internal transfer from her own account to that account.
Her and her own only self.
That's right.
Okay. Now, the very bottom, it says average daily balance current cycle. Can you explain that, please?
Yes. The average balance is just something that's generated for all of the transactions for the total of the month. It's just an average.
So from the dates that we see on these bank records from December 19th moving forward, was there any in-person transaction that you could point to this jury?
No, sir, it wasn't.
Thank you, ma'am. One moment, Your Honor. Your Honor, nothing further.
Defense?
Show you, please, sir.
Good afternoon, Ms. Phillips. Thank you so much for
You're
being here
welcome.
with us.
Good
I just have
afternoon.
a couple of questions. I won't take long at all.
Yes.
You said that the transactions, I'm going to point you directly to the ones that are highlighted from 1224, 3 transactions from 1224. You said that those are automatic deductions.
Yes.
How do you know that based on looking at this, that those are automatic deductions?
Because those are something that's for PayPal, that's for the amount of the dollar amounts.
Understood. And because it says PayPal, that's what indicates to you that it's an automatic deduction, meaning not something that someone generated, but that means that that's automatically coming out.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is it possible that that is a transaction for someone ordering a game, that type of thing on their phone, and using PayPal to pay for it?
No, ma'am. That's something that I can't testify to. That looks like that's something that comes out of the member's account every month for like a membership or something like that they have for PayPal.
Okay, and so if there is testimony that potentially was kids ordering something on a game, you don't think that that's possible, that that's what that transaction is?
No, I don't.
Okay. If someone did order a game on their phone and use PayPal, what would it look like instead of this, which you're saying is not what that would look like here?
It would pretty much have the dollar amount of how much that game actually cost, and the date of the date that they ordered the game, and then I also have the posting date of when the funds came out of the account.
Okay, so and maybe I might ask the question slightly differently. everything that you just described, I see on this line. So what would be different between what you just described and what we're looking at on this bank statement here?
It just looks like something that's system coming out of her account on a monthly basis.
Okay.
Like iTunes, coming out for $2.99, $3.99, and then PayPal $1.99, and then $1.91 and another dollar transaction.
And are you basing your opinion about that being an automatic deduction because of the amounts?
I'm saying this because it looks like something that comes out of the member's account on a monthly basis.
Okay. And let me ask you about that. Is that based on your review of prior months and seeing those same transactions coming out month to month?
That would be something that I would have to review for the prior months in order to see as far as the same total, because it depends. Sometimes the month before it can be different than a current amount.
Right, and I guess maybe I'll ask the question again in a slightly different way. Is the reason why you have the opinion here as you sit today that this is a monthly deduction based upon your review of past monthly statements of this account?
Yes.
So you looked at not just this month, but months prior to this.
The records were provided back in 2018. I'd be more than happy to review the records that I provided to make that determination.
Understood. And so I'm asking, did you do that prior to today?
Look at the prior records? No, I did not.
Sorry, I'm trying to make it clear. I'm not trying to trip you up or anything like that. You did not review those, so you cannot confirm to us that those transactions happened in the month prior or the month prior to that.
As of today, because I have not seen the records since 2018. But however, looking at the dollar amount for the transactions, they look like they appear to be monthly transactions that's being taken out of the member's account.
Okay, understood. And that's what they appear to be, but you cannot confirm that for us right here and right now today.
Without seeing the previous statements, because I haven't looked at them in quite some time.
Understood. Now I'm going to move on to the 1231 and the 171. Those are also highlighted, and I'm just going to group them together because they're both Apple iTunes, right?
Yes.
Those two, similar kind of question.
Yes.
How can you tell by looking at this that those are automatic deductions?
Because of the dollar amounts, it would be the same.
And again, like if something was ordered on the phone or something like that from iTunes, you wouldn't be able to tell a difference looking at that she just signed up for that on that day or anything like that without looking at past records to confirm that they were multiple months in a row that this charge had come through.
Correct, but they do appear to be monthly information.
If they started it that month and created a monthly fee, you wouldn't be able to tell us if this is the first month, the 10th month.
Without seeing the previous statements.
And you pointed out some transactions of transfers from checking with Nancy Ware.
Yes.
And you pointed out some transactions of transfers from checking with Nancy Ware.
Yes.
You pointed out, I believe, the 1219, 1221, and the January 2nd one. There's also a December 31st transfer from checking. That does not have Nancy Ware's on it, correct?
No, it doesn't.
Nancy Ware's name on it. Let me correct that. Correct?
Yes, correct. Those will be internal transfers.
Okay. And so you cannot tell who made that transfer at all?
Not without performance from further research, no ma'am.
And as far as that particular transfer, that could have been anybody who had access to that account, who owned that account.
Between Ms. Ware and Ms. Sawyer.
Okay. So either one of them could have made that.
Or it could have been someone that's a member with Navy Federal that could have performed the transfer.
Okay. So you can't tell us who made that transfer on December 31st?
No, ma'am, not without further research in that transaction.
Nothing further.
Nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am, good to see you.
Okay, thank you.